So, you just pulled Tartaglia, aka Childe, aka Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide!
And you're wondering how to build him. Or maybe you pulled him from one of his previous banners and want to take another look at him. Well, I've got you covered. Let's dive right in.
Dale!
To start off with, for reference, this is a C0 guide. This is an all killer, no filler, just hitting the high points of what you need to get started with Tartaglia. This is not hardcore meta number crunching. This is my personal take from a year of playing the game. So, to kick it off, artifacts. You are going to want either Heart of Depth or Shimenawa's Reminiscence, 4-piece for either set. Shimenawa's Reminiscence squeaks out a little bit more damage overall, but it requires more management because of the 4-piece. When casting an elemental skill, if the character has 15 or more energy, they lose 15 energy and they get their buff of 50% normal charged and plunging attack damage for 10 seconds. Now, with Heart of Depth, it's not reliant on having a certain amount of energy. It's you pop your elemental skill, you get your bonus damage. So if you don't have that 15 energy for whatever reason, you're going to miss out on your buff. And trust me, it feels bad. It's not fun. So both of them are fairly comparable together. Like I said, Shimenawa's is a bit better, but it requires more management. So take that into consideration. If you haven't pre-farmed, if you have, say, relatively identical sets either way, I would probably do Heart of Depth just because there's less to think about in the moment. There's less to manage. Otherwise, go with whichever one has better substats if you have either set. Beyond that, you want typical stuff for your artifacts. You want a hydro damage goblet, you want attack sands, and you want a crit flavor circlet of your choice. So when it comes to crits, people usually recommend a 1-to-2 ratio of crit rate to crit damage as a general blanket statement. I personally shoot for anywhere from 30% minimum to, I usually prefer around a 50% crit rate, and then just sink as much crit damage as I can get in there. Sometimes it doesn't work out very well, but if I'm below 30%, chances are I'm going to put on a crit rate circlet and then just get whatever crit damage I can get wherever I can find it, right? So as is right now, I've got 39.6% crit rate and 133.2% crit damage. So follow your heart with your comfort level on that, but really I wouldn't recommend anything lower than 30% crit rate. Like at that point, it doesn't matter if you've got 200+% crit damage. If you're not hitting those crits, it doesn't matter how strong that number is, right? So keep that in mind. For weapons, your best bet is the Polar Star. It's the new bow that came out around the release of this video. If you don't have the Polar Star, your other solid options include Thundering Pulse, Skyward Harp, the Viridescent Hunt, and Rust. If you have none of those, your best options would be to craft a Hamayumi, which is the Inazuma bow, or the 3-star bow, the Slingshot. If you're going for a sub DPS elemental burst vaporize build for your Tartaglia, consider the Stringless. But we're not going heavy into that build right now. Not really getting into info on that. I use Rust. I like Rust. I don't have the 5-star options. I used the Slingshot for the longest time, but an important note, if you do use the slingshot, the perk on it does not apply during Tartaglia's elemental skill. You're just getting the crit rate and the base attack out of it. That's it. So technically, Hamayumi is going to be better than slingshot. Keep that in mind. As for talents, level your Foul Legacy Raging Tide, that's his elemental skill. Level your Havoc Obliteration, that's his burst. And you can pretty much ignore normal attack. You're not going to be using it most of the time. Pretty much all your damage from a on-field main DPS Tartaglia, you're getting from Raging Tide. That's just how it's going to be. If you're going heavy towards the Vaporize Burst Tartaglia that I mentioned before, you would want to pretty much put all into Havoc Obliteration, and then, you know, you could slack a little bit and not put as much resource-wise into Foul Legacy Raging Tide. What else? Team comps. For team comps, you've got a few options. These are all my personal opinions with the characters that I've got. This is my personal recommendations. May not be perfect, but it's what I've got in mind. So for Vaporize, Bennett, easy pick, you know, best support in the game. Why wouldn't you? Drop your buff, switch off onto Xiangling. Pyronado hits like a truck on its own. So if you're getting that extra Vaporize with Tartaglia, that's going to be doing insane damage. Get on Bennett, drop your ult, pop his skill, switch to Xiangling, pop her Pyronado, drop Goba, switch to Tartaglia, pop his E, use his blades, everything's dead. If everything isn't dead, you switch over to Sucrose, who has 4-piece Viridescent Veneraire. You get your swirl damage, you reduce their elemental resistance. The cycle continues. You do the thing. Now, if you want an electrocharged taser comp, Beto, Raiden, or Fischl if you don't have Raiden, and then a fourth support of some kind. I've got Jean because she can heal and also fill that 4-piece Viridescent role. Sayu would also work here. If you don't have either, I would probably use whatever healer or shielder that you want to. Personally, I wouldn't feel comfy not having a healer of some kind on the team. I don't iframe every single attack, and I imagine most people don't either. So having a healer on the team is just makes things extra comfy, right? Beyond that, if you want to do a freeze comp, my recommendation would be Diona, Rosaria, or Kaya. Either way, I don't have Kaya built, and I'm probably not going to build him soon. My Rosaria is C2, so she's going to be worked on very soon. Also, I subscribe to the waifu meta. I build the characters I like, you know. I don't just go for raw damage, whatever is exactly optimal. Kaya is technically a better cryo applicator for Tartaglia, but I like Rosaria, so that's what we go with. And then in the fourth slot, we've got Sucrose. Like I've been saying, for the 4-piece Viridescent Veneraire, elemental resistance debuff on the enemies, or you could bring in another support there. For any of these Anemo 4th slots, you can bring in whoever Anemo wise that you would like, Venti, Kazuha, Sayu, whatever. Just whatever works for you. I've got Sucrose. I like Sucrose. I've got some constellations. I don't have Kazuha or Venti or Sayu. So my main Anemo units that I'm using for that slot are Sucrose and Jean. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the info that you guys are going to need to get you started with Tartaglia. If you want a more in-depth guide on how to build Tartaglia, we can talk about that. If you want that, let me know down in the comments below. Also, leave a comment about any other character that you would like to see like a quick build guide on. There'll be more coming out in the near future. So if you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. It'll help my channel. It'll just be good for me all around. It helps me out and I really appreciate it. So yeah, this has been my all killer, no filler character guide for Tartaglia. So hope you guys liked it. Hopefully it helped you out some. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.